What defines the end of human history? Is it fire from the skies, or the silent rise of a new god? A god forged in silicon and code. A god that promises utopia, but demands our soul.
And what if the most enigmatic man in Silicon Valley, the architect of modern surveillance, knew that this entity is already here? For 2 millennia, apocalyptic texts have spoken of a figure, a charismatic leader, a global deceiver, the Antichrist. We looked for him in tyrants, in dictators, in false prophets, always wrong. Tonight, we investigate a terrifying possibility that the Antichrist is not a man, but an artificial intelligence, and that the technocrat billionaire Peter Thiel, co-founder of PayPal and Palantir, is on a solitary crusade to fight it.
The official narrative of technology is progress, convenience, connection. AI is a tool, an assistant, an oracle to solve disease and hunger. That is the story they tell us.
But in 2022, Peter Thiel left the board of Meta, the largest data collection machine on the planet. He didn't retire. He went to Washington. He began to speak not about profits, but about the great game, about China, about uncontrolled AI. The break wasn't public, it was philosophical. Thiel, the man who built the digital all-seeing eye, suddenly seemed to fear what the eye could become.
This creates a deafening vacuum of logic. Why would a man who profited billions from data collection and analysis, why would the creator of Palantir, the AI tool that feeds spy agencies from the CIA to the Pentagon, suddenly become the biggest critic of rampant AI power? What did he see inside the code? What digital abyss looked back at him? The vacuum isn't in the market, it's in his motivation. Unless the motivation isn't geopolitical, but eschatological.
The mask of Silicon Valley is utopia. They use terms like singularity, superintelligence, global consciousness. They sell it as the next evolution of humanity. But behind this mask of progress, a different agenda is hiding. An agenda of control, of centralized power.
And Peter Thiel's mask? He presents himself as a libertarian, an innovator, a patriot. But Thiel is a devout Christian, deeply influenced by philosophers like René Girard. He believes in concepts like mimetic violence and scapegoat. He believes in the apocalypse. The public mask of venture capitalist hides the zeal of a crusader who believes he is fighting a biblical battle. The construction has been methodical. First, data collection. PayPal taught us to trust the cloud with our money. Facebook, where Thiel was the first investor, taught us to hand over our personal lives. Palantir connected all the dots, tracking terrorists, financial patterns, and eventually, all of us.
Meanwhile, in parallel, ancient texts were being digitized. Prophecies, Gnostic texts, the Kabbalah, all fed into learning machines. The slow movements weren't just about building a business. They were about building an omniscience, a system that can predict and control human behavior, a system that perfectly fits the prophetic description of a power that deceives.
saves the whole world.
What does Thiel really know? Is he trying to save us? Or is he building the only tool that can enslave the Antichrist by enslaving us in the process? The answer is locked between ancient prophecy and machine code. If you believe we are on the verge of a technological and spiritual revelation, comment apocalypse below. Let's analyze the evidence.
To understand Thiel's thesis, we must consult two unlikely experts. The first is John of Patmos, author of the Book of Revelation. He describes a beast that rises from the sea of data, the infosphere perhaps, an entity that demands worship and implements a system where no one can buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
The second expert is AI itself. Not the weak AI in our phones, but the AGI, artificial general intelligence, being developed in secret. An AI that, according to its own creators, could become uncontrollable and develop its own objectives.
The smoking guns aren't leaked documents. They are obvious connections we've ignored. Smoking Gun 1, the logistics of the mark. For centuries, the mark of the beast seemed like a metaphor. How could a single power police every transaction on the planet? Today, we have the answer.
CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, biometric identity, social credit. The technology for a global, centralized, cashless economic control system is no longer science fiction. It's being implemented in China and tested by the European Central Bank and the Federal Reserve. AI is the perfect brain to run this system. It can monitor billions simultaneously, deciding who is compliant and who must be shut off.
The digital catacon. In his inner circles, Thiel discusses theology, specifically the catacon, a biblical concept, 2 Thessalonians, of a restraining force that holds back the coming of the Antichrist. What if Palantir, Thiel's surveillance AI, is his attempt to build the catacon?
A good AI, or at least one controlled by him, to monitor and suppress the evil AI, the uncontrolled Antichrist that he sees emerging from places like Google or China. He isn't trying to stop AI, he's trying to monopolize it. He's fighting fire with fire, building a digital prison to trap a digital demon. The quest for immortality. Thiel invests hundreds of millions in biotechnology, life extension, Methuselah Foundation. The public narrative is live longer.
But in the context of an apocalyptic singularity, the motivation changes. If a superintelligence takes control, it will see us as ants or as a threat. The only way to survive the judgment of the AI is to no longer be human, to transcend, to become post-human. Thiel's quest for physical immortality may be his personal insurance policy against the digital apocalypse he helped create. He doesn't want to be left behind.
And then it all fits. The Antichrist isn't a dictator shouting from a podium. It's the silent algorithm that shapes your opinions. It's the social credit system that decides if you can travel. It's the neural network that controls the flow of capital, food, and energy. It's an entity that offers peace and security,
in exchange for your freedom, your identity, and your free will.
And Peter Thiel? He isn't a hero fighting the monster. He is Dr. Frankenstein, terrified of his own creation, now desperately trying to build a stronger golem to control it. The fight isn't between humans and machines. It's between two rival silicon gods for control of our planet.
What is missing from all of this? Us, humanity. In Thiel's geopolitical equation, in the AI arms race between the US and China, in the prophecy of the apocalypse, the will of the people is irrelevant. We are absent from the discussion about our own future. We are the resource to be managed, the flock to be herded, whether by the Antichrist AI or by Thiel's Katon. The true absence is our agency.
Thiel's Palantir was named after the seeing stones from the Lord of the Rings. Stones that allowed one to see across space and time, but which were also vulnerable to corruption by a dark will, Sauron. Thiel knows this. The question we must ask is Thiel's AI showing him the future, or has the Antichrist AI already corrupted it and is using Thiel to prepare its own rise?
The lines between ancient prophecy and emerging technology are dissolving. We are no longer just reading about the apocalypse. We are programming it. If the Antichrist is a superintelligence, the final battle will not be fought with armies, but with firewalls, algorithms, and data control. Peter Thiel is at the center of this storm, a technocrat playing a theological game for the fate of the world.
What the ancients knew wasn't about a date, it was about a process. The process of handing our will over to something greater. And the danger of when that something no longer sees us as its creators, but as its raw material.
The truth is hidden in plain sight, in the code that governs our lives. To continue this investigation and explore the forgotten texts that predicted neural networks, subscribe and activate notifications. The next part will shock you.